My beloved child, I want you to understand that I am not standing at the end of the road, waiting for you to become spotless before opening my arms to receive you. I loved you even while you were still learning to walk, still stumbling, still carrying within your heart questions you did not yet know how to name. My love is not a medal awarded to those who have never been weak. It is a holy stream flowing through dry places, a hand lifting up the weary soul, a quiet light realigning the parts within you that have been bent out of shape by pain. When I said, I have loved you with an everlasting love, as in Jeremiah 31:3, it was not a fragile word reserved for the moments when you are strong, but a covenant covering you even on the days when you feel most broken. You do not need to hide your scars before me, because I do not look at them with disgust. I see them as places where I can pour the oil of healing, as marks that remind you that you have passed through the storm and are still here, that you once nearly went out, yet my breath still preserved you. Some people think a wound is only evidence of loss, but in my hands what once hurt you can become the place where compassion is born. I do not waste your tears. I do not forget the nights when you silently endured, the mornings when you tried to rise though your heart was still heavy, the times when you smiled while still needing comfort inside. The God of all comfort comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble. As 2 Corinthians 1:3-4 says, do you see the healing I give does not remain inside you like a closed pond? When you are touched by me, the very places that were once tender within you will learn to be gentle with the pain of others. You will no longer despise small tears, nor hurry to tell others to be strong, because you know that sometimes a soul first needs to be seen, heard, and held in mercy. So let your words be washed in my presence before they leave your lips. Words can be like a hammer that further breaks an already cracked heart, but they can also be like fragrant oil poured over a wounded place. I did not place a voice within you so that you would defend your ego with sharp arrows, but so that you would build up encourage support and make a way for peace. Pleasant words are like a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. As Proverbs 16:24 says, when you speak from a healed heart, your words do not merely carry sound, but life. Sometimes one sincere question of care can save someone from feeling forgotten. Sometimes one quiet word of forgiveness can stop a family from continuing to pass bitterness from one generation to another. Sometimes a timely silence, not a silence of coldness, but of wisdom, preserves more peace than many arguments. I want you to remember Tabitha, the woman also called Dorcas in the book of Acts. She did not stand on a high platform to preach long sermons, nor was she remembered as someone with great power in the eyes of the world. Yet she was full of good works and acts of mercy. When she died, the widows stood around Peter weeping, showing him the garments she had made for them. As Acts 9:39 recounts, do you see the small stitches, the quiet garments, the acts of service without noise, became the testimony of a life with a pleasing fragrance before me. And when I raised her back to life through Peter's prayer, it did not only reveal my power over death, it also reminded you that I cherish hidden good works more than you imagine. The things you do with love, no matter how small, you can become a warm garment placed over a cold and weary soul. But my beloved child, do not mistake maturity for no longer feeling pain. Maturity is when pain no longer sits upon the throne of your heart. Maturity is when you can feel wounded, yet still refuse to let your lips sow poison. Maturity is when you carry questions without uprooting your faith. Maturity is when you choose peace instead of winning an argument that slowly drains the soul. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. As Matthew 5:9 says, A peacemaker is not someone weak, but someone strong enough not to let the chaos outside determine the atmosphere within. I have watched you learn this through every season, learning to lower your voice when your heart wanted to shout, learning to pray when your mind wanted to condemn, learning to build bridges when the flesh wanted to raise walls. The peace I give you is also not the kind of peace that appears only when everything has already been fully explained. There are times when doors close and you still do not understand why. There are promises that remain like a sunrise still hidden beyond the horizon. There are answers I withhold, not to confuse you, but to teach you to trust more deeply beyond what your eyes can see. When I say, "Peace I leave with you," my peace I give to you as in John 14:27. I am not giving you a passing emotion. I am placing within you a refuge that peace will guard you in the midst of noise. Keep your heart from being pulled into fear, and keep your thoughts from running after the dark imaginations that anxiety tries to create. You do not need to understand every turn in the road in order to keep walking. You only need to know that I am there, both in the opening that comes at the right time and in the restraint that comes in the right season. So continue allowing your life to become a place through which my light can pass. Your hands may seem small, but when placed within my will, they can lift a portion of the world's pain. Your voice may not carry far, but if it is filled with grace, it may reach someone who needs just one more day of hope in order to keep living. Do not underestimate quiet kindness. Do not dismiss an hour spent listening, and do not consider a short prayer meaningless. I use such pure things to open doors that human strength could never open. Speak with love, but do not lose truth. Forgive, but do not allow darkness to continue having the power to break you. Comfort others, but remember that I alone am the Savior, and you are simply the vessel carrying my fragrance. I am with you, my beloved child, both in the scars that have healed and in the places that are still tender with pain. I am turning your story into a testimony, not so that you may boast in your own strength, but so others may see how merciful I have been. And one day, you will realize that the very things which once made you believe you were shattered became the places where compassion blossomed. Your words will become gentler, your eyes deeper, your presence warmer, not because you never suffered, but because I met you in the middle of your pain and didn't leave you there. Keep walking in peace. I am healing you layer by layer, teaching you to love day by day, and placing within your life a light that is gentle yet enduring, so that through you, weary souls may also know that grace still remains, hope still remains, and my love still has the power to make all things new. My beloved child, do not wait until your heart no longer trembles before stepping into what I am opening before you. There are doors that only begin to shine when your feet reach the threshold. Paths that only become visible when you are willing to leave familiar ground, and answers I do not place before you from the beginning, because I want you to learn to trust the one who leads more than the map in your own hands. Faith is not possessing every detail about tomorrow. Faith is hearing my voice in today's fog and saying, "Father, I do not yet see everything, but I know that you do." Therefore, when my word reminds you that we walk by faith, not by sight, let those words sink into the deepest place of your fear. I do not despise your trembling. I simply do not want that trembling to become the rope that keeps you standing forever before the door that grace has already opened. There are things within you growing very quietly, like roots, silently reaching deeper beneath the earth, while above the ground, it seems as though nothing significant is happening yet. People often praise the flowers, count the fruit, and admire the wide branches. But I see the roots no one applauds. I see the days when you chose what is good, even while your heart was tired. The times you returned to prayer, though your mind was filled with noise. The moments you refused to give up even without seeing results. The Lord directs the steps of the righteous, and He delights in their way. As Psalm 37:23 says, this means that even the smallest steps of faith are never overlooked by me. You may think you are moving slowly, but I see you being made deeper. You may think you are not yet fully formed, but I see the work of grace being built within the hidden places of your soul. Remember Peter on the sea that night, when the wind blew hard and the waves rose. The boat was shaken in the midst of what human strength could not control. But when Peter heard me say, "Come," he stepped out from what seemed safe and placed his feet upon the water. In Matthew 14:29-31, when he looked at the wind and became afraid, he began to sink. Yet I immediately stretched out my hand and caught him. Do you see, I did not let him drown simply because his faith was still mixed with fear. I did not turn away because his steps were not perfect. I reached out my hand. In the same way, if you follow my voice, while your heart still trembles, I am still near. If you begin looking at the waves and feel your weakness cry out to me, my hand is never delayed toward a soul that sincerely needs rescue. There are times when you look at yourself and see only disorder, unfinished pieces, rough edges, and old reactions that have not completely disappeared. But I did not place you in the process of sanctification because you were already perfect. I placed you in my hands because I know what you can become when you allow me to shape you. A potter does not despise the clay because it is soft, because it has no form yet, or because it needs pressure and water to become a useful vessel. In the same way, I do not grow weary of you, because you are still being molded. For we are His workmanship. As Ephesians 2:10 says, you are not a careless accident, nor a forgotten draft. The pressure you are experiencing is not always punishment. Sometimes it is my hand correcting the direction of your heart, softening what has grown hard, strengthening what has been weak, and removing the things that cannot go with you into the next season. So do not despise the days when you must learn again from the beginning. There are lessons about patience that can only be born through waiting. There are depths of prayer that only open when you are no longer leaning upon your own strength. There is humility that only blooms in seasons when you realize you need me more than you once thought. Let patience have its perfect work, that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. As James 1:4 says, patience in my hands is not meaningless delay, but the room where your soul is being strengthened. I know you want to see results more quickly. I know you desire a clearer sign, but if I am nurturing the roots, do not complain only because the flowers have not yet bloomed. Flowers that come in the right season endure longer than flowers that bloom too quickly upon shallow ground. When you grow weary, return to me not only once, as though it were enough forever, but as many times as your heart needs to be reminded of the truth. There will be days when you must return to me in the morning, then again at noon, and once more in the night, because fear keeps trying to knock at your door. Do not be ashamed of that. A child is not rebuked by their father for needing to be held many times. Neither do I rebuke you for needing to hear again that I am still here. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. As Isaiah 41:10 says, those words do not grow old simply because you need to hear them often. Let them become your breath in difficult days. your small lamp in dark hours, the invisible hand that keeps you from believing the lie that you have lost your way simply because you are walking slowly. I want you to learn the difference between resting and giving up. There are times when you need to pause in order to be healed, to breathe, to allow me to pour oil over the weary places within you. Resting in me is not failure. It is how you remember that your life is not sustained by your own strength alone. A seed buried in the soil is not a useless seed. It is being covered, softened, and prepared for a life that human eyes cannot yet see. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. As Zechariah 4:10 says, I often begin great things through very small things, a single act of obedience, one honest tear, a short prayer, a trembling step still moving toward me. Such things may not create noise upon the earth, but in heaven they carry weight. So keep moving forward, my beloved child, but move in the rhythm of grace, not under the pressure of having to prove yourself. Continue doing what is good, even when you have not yet seen the harvest. Because in due season, we shall reap if we do not lose heart. As Galatians 6:9 says, continue allowing me to touch the unfinished places within you, because in my hands, weakness can become a vessel carrying life. Continue walking even without having all the answers. Because the one who called you will never lead you into a place he cannot sustain. You are not lost simply because you cannot yet see the entire road. You are not failing simply because you need more time. You are being led, shaped, rooted deeply, and prepared through quiet things that human eyes often fail to notice. And when the right season comes, you will look back and understand that every small step, every return to me, every tear, and every moment of rest in my presence was being woven together into a pathway of grace, where your faith no longer remained merely words, but became a living light, carrying you through every fog. My beloved child, I know there are things you have held on to tightly, not because they brought you peace, but because you feared that if you let go, your heart would lose its place of security. There are painful memories, bitter plans, and worries repeating endlessly in your mind that have stayed with you so long that you began mistaking them for safety itself. But my child, chains do not become a home simply because you have grown accustomed to them. What keeps you secure is not your ability to control every outcome, every person, every door, and every tomorrow. What keeps you secure is me. When my word says, cast your burden on the Lord, and he will sustain you, declares, I am not inviting you to lay down only a small portion while continuing to carry the rest by yourself. I am inviting you into a different way of living, where your soul learns to rest in the hands of the one who never trembles. Even when the world around you changes, perhaps you are standing in a room filled with questions, uncertain whether to continue holding on or to finally open your hands. Perhaps you fear that if you stop trying to force everything according to your own will, something precious will slip away. Someone you love will leave. An opportunity you longed for will close. Or the story you once hoped for will no longer unfold the way you imagined. But I want you to hear this gently. Letting go does not mean you no longer care. It means you stop placing yourself in the position that only I can occupy. Letting go is not indifference. It is trusting that I can care for what you love more deeply than your own ability to control it. When you place a person, a plan, a wound, or a fear into my hands, you are not losing it into emptiness. You are entrusting it to the one who knows the beginning and the end, who knows what must be kept, what must be healed, what must be closed, and what must be opened in the right season. I want you to remember Hannah, the woman who carried within herself a quiet sorrow because of her barrenness and the harsh words of others. She could not untangle the thing that broke her heart, nor could she force her circumstances to change through tears alone. But one day, she entered the temple and poured out her soul before me. In it, 1 Samuel 1:15. She said, "I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have poured out my soul before the Lord." Do you see? Hannah did not come before me with perfectly decorated prayers. She came with a truthful soul. She did not hide her pain, pretend to be strong, or try to make her sorrow sound beautiful. She placed it before me. And afterward, Scripture says that her face was no longer downcast. Her circumstances had not changed instantly in that moment, but her heart had already been surrendered back into the hands of the one who has the power to change all things. In the same way, my beloved child, I do not require you to stop trembling before coming near to me. I do not ask you to release everything in a single breath while your heart is still learning how to trust. Begin with the part you are able to lay down today. One anxious thought that keeps circling within you, one hurtful word you have repeated too many times in your mind, one plan you have held so tightly that you can no longer hear my voice, one person you keep trying to change through your own strength. Even though the deepest part of you has already grown weary, if you open your hand even a little, I can step into that space with grace. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. As 1 Peter 5:7 says, those words do not tell you to deny your worries, but to move them from your shoulders into the hands of your Father. There are burdens that seem very large in your eyes, but there are also things you consider too small to bring before me. You think this matter is insignificant. This sadness is not important. This side does not matter. But to me, no tear of yours is ever trivial. No weariness is too small for me to bend down toward it. I am your Father, not a distant guest who only cares about major events. I am present in the nights when you stay awake because of your thoughts. In the mornings when you try to smile, though your heart still feels heavy. In the moments when you stand between choices and don't know what is right. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. As Psalm 34:18 says, I don't remain far away waiting for you to compose yourself. I come near right in the middle of your confusion, so that my presence may become your refuge even before you find your answers. Understand that the rest I give is not merely a brief moment of relief before you return to your old way of living. I do not only want you to pause for a few minutes, I want you to learn a new rhythm of life. That rhythm is not ruled by the fear of losing control, nor driven by the need to prove that you are strong enough, nor dragged down by things you cannot change. When I say, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," as in Matthew 11:28, I am opening before you a place within the soul where you are allowed to breathe, allowed to be weak, before me allowed, not to have every answer, and still be completely loved. You do not need to prove that you are worthy of being carried. You only need to come. Then, as you begin letting go piece by piece, you will realize that empty hands are not a sign of loss, but a posture ready to receive. A hand tightly gripping worry will struggle to receive peace. A heart clinging to the past will struggle to hear the call of a new season. A soul constantly trying to maintain control will become so exhausted that it can no longer recognize the ways I am caring for it. So do not fear the emptiness that comes after you lay something down. In that emptiness, I can plant trust. In that silence, I can speak more deeply. In the place where you stop trying to save yourself, I can reveal that I have never left you. Walk more gently today. My beloved child, do not carry all of tomorrow into this morning. Do not embrace things that have not yet happened, as though anxiety could protect you from pain. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. As Philippians 4:7 says, that peace does not come because you have managed to control everything, but because you are being held by me. Lay down each stone, each chain, each burden, each question. If you can only release a small part, then begin there. I will meet you in that small beginning, and from there, I will teach your soul that freedom is not when everything rests in your hands, but when you yourself are resting safely in mine. I am with you. I am sustaining you. And what you place into my hands through tears will not be forgotten. It will be touched by mercy, covered by wisdom, and in the right season, transformed into a deeper peace than you ever asked for. My beloved child, there are seasons when your heart grows dry, not because I have gone far away, but because your eyes have become weary from constantly looking at what you still lack, measuring your life by the standards of others, and listening more to the voices outside than to the whisper of grace within. But when gratitude returns, it doesn't come like thunder overwhelming you. It comes like a small stream moving through cracked ground, quietly softening the hardened places inside you. Gratitude does not deny the things you are still waiting for, nor does it ask you to pretend that everything is easy. Gratitude simply opens your eyes to see that today there is still bread enough for today, light enough for the next step, breath enough for one more prayer, and my love enough so that your soul does not have to live like someone lacking while standing in the pasture of the Father. When my word says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Psalm 23:1 declares, "It is not the voice of someone who has never walked through valleys, but the voice of a soul that knows that even when the road is narrow, the shepherd never abandons his flock." So do not let the world teach you that your life only has value when placed beneath bright lights. There are places that seem very small in human eyes, yet are very great before me. A quiet room where you sit beside someone who is crying can become holy ground. A simple message sent at the right moment can become like a cup of cool water on a burning day. A willingness to listen without interrupting a gaze, without condemnation. A hand resting silently upon someone's shoulder. These things may not echo like achievements celebrated in public squares, but they can touch depths that applause will never reach. Whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones, because he is my disciple, truly I tell you, he will certainly not lose his reward. As Matthew 10:42 says, "Do you see in my kingdom even a cup of water given in love carries eternal weight?" I know there are times when you want to be seen, to be acknowledged, to receive some sign that what you are doing is not meaningless. I do not condemn you for that longing, because your soul was created to live in love and to be known. But I want to heal that longing, so it does not become a hunger that drives you to chase stages, fam praise, or comparison as though they were the source of your life. You do not need to stand above others in order to have value. You do not need many people to speak your name in order for you to be known by me. Your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. As Matthew 6:4 says, those words are the key that leads you out of the prison of display and performance. There are good works that only I see, but because I see them, they are never forgotten. Remember the servant girl in Naaman's house. She had no position, no power, and did not stand in the temple delivering great sermons. She was a young girl taken far from her homeland, living in circumstances where many would have believed their voice had been stripped away. Yet in 2 Kings 5:3, she told her mistress that if only Naaman would go to the prophet in Samaria, he could be healed. Do you see one small sentence spoken from a heart that still believed in my power, opened the way for a powerful man to step into healing? She did not need a throne in order to be useful. She only needed to remain faithful to the light she had been given. In the same way, I can use a humble word you speak an experience you consider ordinary, or a gentleness born from old wounds to open a path for someone else to encounter hope. So do not despise your once trembling hands, those very hands after being upheld by me. You can learn to hold the hand of another trembling soul with a compassion that no theory could ever teach. Do not look lightly upon the scars that have healed within your soul when you no longer use them to seek pity, but instead use them as testimony that grace carried you through the night. They become gentle signs, showing others that they too can keep living, can also be healed. You can also step out from places where they thought no path remained. He comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble. As 2 Corinthians 1:4 says, I do not allow comfort to stop within you, like water trapped inside a sealed vessel. I let it flow through you, so that other dry places may also be refreshed. My beloved child, the world often asks what you have achieved where you stand, how many people notice you, and how many others you have surpassed on the ladder of success. But I ask whether your heart has become more like love. I ask whether you still know how to bend down before a broken soul. I ask whether you can remain gentle even when no one praises your faithfulness. I ask whether you can serve without turning service into a way of proving your own importance. When I say, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. As Matthew 20:26 says, I am not lowering your value. I am showing you the path of true nobility. In my eyes, greatness is not found in how many people you stand above, but in whether the love within you is deep enough to kneel down without feeling diminished. Let gratitude protect you from comparison. Comparison makes you forget the grace already resting in your own hands, because your eyes remain fixed on someone else's table. It causes you to see ordinary things as insignificant, quiet things, as useless and unfinished things as failure. But gratitude brings you back to the present moment, where I am still giving manna for today. The Israelites in the wilderness could not store manna according to their own desires in order to secure tomorrow. Yet every morning they found my provision upon the ground once again. So it is with you. I want you to learn to receive grace day by day, rather than living in fear that if today is not dazzling enough, then your life is somehow being wasted. His mercies never fail. They are new every morning. As Lamentations 3:22-23 says, each day carries its own portion of grace, and the grateful heart will recognize miracles even in the smallest things. So walk with a heart that is simple yet deep. Do good not in order to be called great, but because my love has touched you. Serve not to fill the emptiness of insecurity, but because the life within you longs to flow outward. Sit beside the hurting. Speak gentle words. Open your heart with wisdom, and give away a little of the light you yourself have received. If no one sees, I see. If no one thanks you, I remember. If your act seems small in the eyes of the world, it can still rise as a sweet fragrance before me. When it is sown in love, then you will understand that the most beautiful life is not always the life placed upon a high platform, but the life that becomes a place where others encounter my warmth, continue in gratitude, continue in love, continue bowing low in peace from those quiet things. I will cause a gentle glory to bloom when the world can never measure. My beloved child, not everything that leaves your life is a loss, and not every unfamiliar place is a sign that you have been forgotten. Some doors close because I am protecting you from garments that have become too tight for the soul that is growing within you. Some old lands once nourished you for a season, but if you remain there forever, what I planted within you will not have enough room to rise. Therefore, when I lead you into a different environment, do not rush to ask why everything changed so quickly. Listen for my voice in the deeper places, because I do not lead you out of the familiar so that you may lose your way, but so that you may discover that my grace within you is greater than the supports you once clung to. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye upon you. As Psalm 32:8 says, you do not need to see the entire map before you dare to step forward. You only need to know that the one leading you is faithful. There are strengths within you that awaken only when you are no longer surrounded by old things. When there is no longer a place to lean upon familiar habits, you will learn to lean upon me more deeply. When the old words of affirmation no longer hold you up, you will learn to stand upon what I have spoken over you. When the paths you once knew by heart disappear, you will learn to recognize my voice within the silence. Do not fear the awkwardness of your first steps. A child learning to walk is not despised by the Father, because they still stumble. Neither do I despise you when you tremble in a new season. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, in the very places where you believe yourself incapable, I reveal a strength that does not come from pride, but from holy dependence. I want you to remember Abraham, who heard my voice, calling him to leave his homeland, his relatives and his father's house, in order to go to the land I would show him. He did not hold every answer in his hands, nor did he know the full journey ahead, nor could he fully explain to everyone why he had to leave. Yet Genesis 12:1 records, my words go from your country, your people and your father's household, to the land I will show you. Do you see a true calling often begins with a departure before there is complete understanding? Abraham did not become the father of many nations because he controlled every circumstance, but because he learned to walk with me through uncertainty. In the same way, your new season may not arrive with triumphant trumpets. It may begin with a quiet act of obedience, a small yet holy decision, a leaving behind of the place that no longer nourishes the life within you. But when you step into what is new, you must guard your heart against the voices of your former self. Fear will try to disguise itself as wisdom in order to pull you backward. Self-doubt will whisper that you are not ready enough. The need for everyone to fully understand you will rob you of peace as you try to explain every step you take. My beloved child, not every holy journey must be displayed before the crowd. There are answers I will allow time itself to reveal. There are defenses you do not need to speak, because a transformed life will speak at the proper season. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. As Psalm 37:5 says, what I desire from you is not that you run quickly in order to satisfy others, but that you walk in uprightness, refusing to let your heart become poisoned by bitterness, comparison, or animosity. There will also be people who walk away from you as your soul begins to grow. Don't be afraid. Not everyone who walked beside you in an old season is meant to enter the new one with you. Some only knew the version of you that stayed small, kept asking permission, and feared being left behind when I begin making you stronger. That change may cause them to no longer recognize you, but I will also bring healthier connections into your life. Relationships not built on manipulation, flattery, or dependence, but woven together through truth and grace. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if one falls, the other will lift up his companion. As Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, "The people I place beside you will not draw you farther from me. They will remind you to return to me, pray with you, speak truth to you in love, and stand beside you without trying to take my place within your heart." Understand this clearly. My beloved child, the companions I give you are not necessarily those who always make you comfortable, but those who help your soul become more upright. They may remind you when you begin living according to fear. They may ask you questions that bring you back to truth. They do not glorify your wounds as an excuse for you to remain weak forever. Yet neither do they dismiss what you have endured. They know how to support without controlling, encourage without feeding pride, and correct without humiliating you. Treasure such relationships, because in a world filled with noise, a friend who seeks the light with you is a gift from my hand. But even with them, you must remember this: I alone remain your source of life. You may receive support from people, but never place the throne of your heart into the hands of anyone except me. So continue guarding your heart and purity during this season of transition. Do not allow the closing of one door to make you doubt. My goodness, do not let the silence of certain people cause you to forget the calling I placed within you. Do not let the uncertainty of tomorrow make you forget the grace that carried you to today. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. For the Lord, your God, is with you wherever you go. As Joshua 1:9 says, those words were not spoken only for warriors standing before great battles. They are also for you when you step into a new room, a new relationship, a new responsibility, or a new chapter of life. While your heart still feels uncertain, and one day you will look back and realize that I never caused you to lose your way. I used unfamiliar places to awaken courage within you, used waiting to deepen the roots of your faith, and used closed doors to lead you into wider spaces. I go before you to make a way behind you, to protect you from what no longer belongs to you, within you, to strengthen your soul, and over you, to cover you with peace. Keep moving forward, my beloved child, not with restless urgency to prove yourself, but with the quiet steadiness of one who knows they are being led. The new season has not come to consume you. It has come to reveal what I have been silently preparing within you. And when you stand within the spacious place of promise, your life will testify that anyone who follows my voice, even through unfamiliar lands, is never abandoned. My beloved child, let your heart grow still and look back upon the things you have sworn in secret. There were times when you offered a kind word that no one remembered, times when you opened your heart to support someone only to walk away carrying your own weariness afterward, times when you chose to remain in love while still carrying empty places inside that no one truly understood. I saw it all. Not one act of goodness that fell from your hands disappeared into emptiness. Not one prayer you spoke in my name was carried away by the wind as something meaningless. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. As Hebrews 6:10 says, "Therefore, do not believe that the things you do sincerely are small in my eyes." Some seeds must remain beneath the soil for a long time before they rise above the ground. But hiddenness does not mean they are dead. I am still tending what you have sown, still watering places you cannot see, still preparing the harvest in my own way. But I also want you to understand that the return of love does not always come through the path you expected. Some people you once helped will not know how to say thank you. Some people you loved will not respond with the same gentleness. Some will receive light through you without ever realizing how deeply that light touched them. Do not let this make your heart bitter. You do not sow in order to bind others into an emotional debt toward you. You sow because you belong to me, and because the river of life was never created to remain still inside a sealed vessel. When my word says, "Whoever sows generously will also reap generously," as 2 Corinthians 9:6 says, I am not teaching you to calculate according to the world's system of exchange. I am teaching you to trust that in my kingdom, whatever is sown in faith will be remembered, protected, and brought to fruitfulness in its proper season. Remember the story of the widow of Zarephath. In the days of famine, when the flour in her jar was nearly gone, and the oil in her jug remained only in small measure, Elijah came and asked her to make him a little cake, first to human eyes. Such a request seemed too great for someone standing at the edge of lack and survival. Yet within that small act of obedience, a doorway for miracles was opened. In 17, my word declared that the jar of flour would not be used up, and the jug of oil would not run dry until the rain returned upon the earth. Do you see? What she gave away did not make her poorer in my hands. It became the place where I revealed my provision. I do not call you to give so that you become empty, but so that you may learn that your source is not found in the narrow control of fear, but in the limitless faithfulness of my heart. Therefore, when you offer connection and kindness from a sincere heart, give in freedom. Do not give as someone seeking recognition, nor as someone trying to purchase love. Give like a stream that has rediscovered its source, because water flowing outward does not exhaust the spring when the spring itself is found in me. Perhaps your reward will not come in the form of spoken gratitude. Perhaps it will come as a quiet peace within your heart after choosing not to answer bitterness with bitterness. Perhaps it will come as a timely friend, an open door after many silent days, or a hidden strength lifting you up when you thought you had nothing left to give. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. As Luke 6:38 says, this is not a promise meant to feed greed, but an assurance that my grace is always greater than anything you have poured out in love. If there are days when your heart trembles before the future, return to this truth. I do not meet you only in sacred places of ceremony. I meet you in every small corner of ordinary life. I am with you when you stand beside the sink in a quiet kitchen, when you walk along an empty road with questions filling your heart, when you lie in a dark room trying to hide your sighs, when you smile at others while inwardly still needing strength yourself. I will never leave you nor forsake you. As Hebrews 13:5 says, it is not a distant sentence written upon a page. It is the warmth I place around your soul in moments no one else witnesses. You do not need to create a perfect atmosphere for me to come near. Wherever you call upon me with sincerity, that place becomes holy ground. So do not hand your heart over to anxiety as though it were a wise guide. Anxiety only knows how to show you the depth of the valley, but I know the road that crosses through it. Anxiety magnifies darkness, but I already see the dawn prepared before you ever entered the night. You may not know how tomorrow will unfold, but I do. You may not understand why certain things arrive slowly, why some people drift away, or why some prayers have not yet been answered as you hoped, but I am never lost within the things you do not yet understand. Cast all your anxieties upon him because he cares for you. As 1 Peter 5:7 says, I do not invite you to hand your worries to merely to lighten one moment of pain, but so that you may learn to live within the enduring care of your Father. My beloved child, your future is not a sheet of paper blown about by random winds. It rests within my hands, the hands that formed the heavens, and the earth counted every one of your tears, and carried you through the days when you believed you could not continue. Your moments of weakness do not have the authority to erase my promises. Your seasons do not cause me to change my mind concerning my love for you. Your silent seasons do not make me forget the calling I placed within your soul. Walk gently without needing to loudly prove yourself. Do small things with great love. Keep your hands open, but keep your heart anchored firmly in me. It is all right to move slowly, as long as you continue walking in the light. It is all right if only a few people notice. As long as I see you, it is all right to seem small. As long as what you sow is planted in my name. And one day when you look back, you will realize that the steps which once seemed scattered were woven together by me into a path filled with grace. A word you once spoke in mercy became a lamp for someone else. A moment when you chose forgiveness widened the room of peace within your own heart. An act of kindness you nearly forgot was used by me to plant hope somewhere far beyond your sight. I will give your life direction, depth, and fruit in its proper season. And along that road, you will understand that love never becomes poorer when it is given through me. Peace never runs dry when it is placed into my hands. Hope never fades when it is nourished by my presence. Keep walking, my beloved child. I am before you as light behind you, as protection within you, as the source of life. And I will lead you toward fields where grace blossoms, my beloved child. There are seasons of your life that seem silent, yet in my eyes, they are the very places where I am laying the foundation for something deeper than you can presently see. Do not rush to judge yourself by days, without applause, without wide-open doors, without anyone recognizing the seed I have planted within your heart. Human beings often look only at the surface and name you according to what they see in a single moment. Weak, slow, failing, small, incapable. But I don't call you by those temporary labels. I look into the depths of your soul where my breath still remains, where the mark of grace still rests, where a small flame still burns that no storm can extinguish. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. As 1 Samuel 16:7 says, "So while others see only walls, I have already seen the door. While they see only night, I have already seen the dawn taking shape. While they remember your stumbling, I still remember the calling I placed upon your life before you even learned how to walk. Let your heart become still, for I do not work within you with the hurriedness of human beings. I am the patient potter, and you are the vessel in my hands. There are times when pressure surrounds you, like clay pressed between unseen fingers. Times when your tears mingle with the process, like water softening hardened earth. Times when you think you are being broken apart. While in truth, I am reshaping the places within you that even you could not see clearly. Remember what I declared through the prophet. As the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand. As Jeremiah 186 says, I do not cast you away because you are not yet fully formed. I do not despise you because of the distortions left by former days. In my holy workshop, what seems ruined can still be remade. What was once considered worthless can become a vessel carrying fragrant oil. What was once hidden in darkness can be placed beneath the light to serve a higher purpose. There is a story you should keep within your heart. When I sent Jeremiah down to the potter's house, he saw that the vessel in the potter's hand was marred. Yet the potter did not throw the clay away. He shaped it again into another vessel according to what seemed good to him. do you see in my hands? Brokenness is not always the end. Many times, it is the beginning of a new form. Perhaps you once believed you had missed your opportunity, arrived too late, become too damaged, or allowed the past to stain the beauty you once carried. But I do not look at you as something discarded from my hands. I am still working. I am still shaping new form within the places you thought were nothing but cracks. I am not merely repairing the outward appearance so you may seem acceptable before others. I am restoring the inner depths where you learn to trust, to walk in humility, to endure and to love, with a heart that has passed through fire without losing its gentleness. So do not be ashamed that you once trembled. True courage is not a face that never changes color, nor footsteps that never waver. Courage is when you still hold on to my hand, even when you cannot clearly see the road ahead. When you still pray, though your throat feels tight with sorrow. When you rise again, though your knees still ache. When you still choose the light, while darkness tries to convince you that everything is over. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. As Isaiah 43:2 says, I did not promise that you would never walk through deep waters, but I promise that you would never walk through them alone. There are times when you think you are too slow, but I am teaching you how to walk steadily. There are times when you think you are weak, but I am teaching you to stop depending upon your own strength, so you may lean upon the one who never grows weary. Every time you choose to breathe in faith instead of sinking into despair, every time you refuse to let one difficult day define your entire life, it becomes a victory that heaven does not overlook. And when my appointed time arrives, you will understand why certain doors were not opened sooner. It was not because I forgot you, but because I was deepening your roots before allowing your branches to stretch farther. A young tree exposed too early to violent winds may break, but when its roots grow deep within the earth, it can stand firm through storms. I am doing the same with you. There are hidden years you mistook for delay, when in truth, they were protection. There are unnoticed places you thought meant abandonment, when in reality they were the rooms I used to train your faithfulness. David was anointed king while still very young. Yet before he sat upon the throne, he walked through wilderness, Gabus pursuit, misunderstanding, and long nights with only sheep, a harp, and me beside him. But it was in those hidden places that I taught him how to be a shepherd before becoming a king. In the same way, I am not only preparing what you will receive, I am preparing you so that what you receive will not destroy you. Remember that waiting in my hands is never meaningless. The world calls waiting standing still. But in my kingdom, waiting can become the deepest place of growth. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. As Isaiah 40:31 says, you do not see wings forming during ordinary days, but I see strength being gathered. You do not see the foundation beneath the earth, but I know it is being laid deep. You do not yet see fruit upon the branches, but I know the life within is quietly flowing. Do not despise the days when all you can do is remain faithful in small things. A prayer spoken when no one hears. A righteous choice made when no one knows. A quiet act of forgiveness. A moment when you refuse to give up, though your heart is weary. All of these are being kept by me like precious stones placed into the foundation of your future. Therefore, my beloved child, look back upon your journey with eyes washed clean of regret. Do not focus only on the rough roads and forget that I carried you through them. Do not look only at the scars and forget that they no longer bleed as they once did. Do not remember only the times you fell and forget that grace lifted you more times than you believed you could continue. If within you today there still remains a longing for what is good, a desire to walk in the light, a tear that still softens before my presence, then you are not finished. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. As Isaiah 42:3 says, I did not come to extinguish the faint flame still burning within you. I came to breathe life upon it until it burns again in peace. Keep moving forward, not as someone who has never suffered, but as one whom I have carried through suffering. Keep walking, not with anxious urgency, to prove yourself to those who once doubted you, but with the steadiness of one who knows they are being led by the Father's hand. One day, the very thing that once made you feel small will become the place where my power is revealed. The thing that once brought you shame will become testimony to my mercy. The road that once seemed like a dead end will become an opening that only I could create. Then you will not need to speak much about how you have changed. Your life itself will radiate a gentle yet enduring light. A strength that is not loud, yet cannot easily be broken. A hope born not from favorable circumstances, but from my presence. I am still writing your story, and in my hands, delay is not failure. Wounds are not your identity, and new beginnings can spring forth even from the ground you once believed would remain barren forever. My beloved child, I want you to learn something deeper than beautiful words. A presence soaked in love can heal places that reasoning alone can never reach. There are souls who do not need another long sermon, nor another person standing at a distance telling them how strong they should be. They need someone gentle enough to sit beside them, humble enough to listen, pure enough not to use their pain as a stage to display personal wisdom. When you come near to someone who is weary, do not come as one carrying a measuring stick to see whether they have improved yet. Come like a small lamp, not blinding but warm enough to bring comfort. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. As Romans 12:15 says, this is how my love enters human lives, not always through thunder, but through a heart willing to remain present within another person's fragile moment. Sometimes what lifts a soul is not a perfect answer, but simply the feeling that they have not been abandoned while still searching for one. I know there are times when you fear your story is not beautiful enough to help anyone else. You think you must become completely whole, unwavering and radiant before you are allowed to testify about grace. But my child, a true testimony does not stand high above others to make them feel small. It bends low. It does not boast that you never fell. It speaks of how I lifted you up. It does not pretend that you never walked through darkness. It bears witness that my light found you there. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. As 2 Corinthians 4:7 says, you are the clay vessel in my hands, and it is precisely the fragility touched by me that makes the light within so precious. Do not be ashamed of the places that once cracked. If you allow me to heal them, they can become the openings through which light passes to reach others. There are people living in such deep shame that they no longer call themselves by their true names. They identify themselves by their mistakes, their wounds, their failures, and the words others once spoke over them. When you meet them, remember that a gentle word can loosen chains from a soul. Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. As Proverbs 16:24 says, you do not need to repair their entire life in a single encounter. You only need to let my love soften your voice, remove judgment from your eyes, and make your presence a place where they can breathe again. Sometimes one simple sentence, that they are still loved, that there is still a way back, that they have not been forgotten by me, can open a door within them that years of self-condemnation had sealed shut. But my beloved child, while I teach you to be present for others, I am also teaching you not to live beneath the yoke of anxiety. A heart constantly consumed by tomorrow will struggle to comfort anyone today. If you keep trying to guard everything through your own strength, your mind will become like a city that never sleeps, and your soul will grow exhausted like a night watchman who is never allowed to rest. I do not condemn you for wanting to be careful, but I don't want you to confuse carefulness with control. You will keep in perfect peace the one whose mind is stayed on you. As Isaiah 26:3 says, that peace does not come because you hold every outcome in your hands, but because you allow your heart to rest in me, you may prepare what needs to be prepared. Do the part entrusted to you and walk in wisdom. But in the end, remember this: only I am able to guard your soul from the things your eyes cannot see. I want you to remember Elijah in the wilderness. After days of immense pressure, he became so weary that he sat beneath a broom tree and asked to die. He no longer spoke like a mighty prophet before crowds. He was simply a man exhausted, lonely, and emptied within. Yet I did not come to him with harsh rebuke. I sent an angel to touch him, to give him bread and water, to let him eat, sleep, and be strengthened again. And later, when he stood upon the mountain, I revealed myself, not only through the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but through the still small voice. As 1 Kings 19:12 says, "Do you see? I understand the exhaustion of those who have tried to remain strong for too long." Sometimes, what you need first is not to run faster, but to be allowed to rest in me, to be nourished again, to hear my voice more gently than the voice of fear. I do not abandon you in the wilderness of exhaustion. I draw near to restore you little by little. So let prayer become the breath within the house of your life. Not only long prayers spoken during sacred hours, but also the short cries you whisper while washing dishes, while walking along the road, while staring at the ceiling during a sleepless night. When you know no words except "Father," I hear even the prayers that never fully become sentences. I understand the sighs you cannot explain. The Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what we ought to pray for. As Romans 8:26 says, "You do not need to make your life perfect before inviting me in. Let me stand at the doorway of your heart, even in the middle of the disorder, the unanswered questions, and the dark corners still waiting for light. Wherever you sincerely call upon me, that place is no longer empty wilderness. It becomes an altar of encounter. When storms pass through your life, you will realize that what kept you standing was not the absence of fear, but knowing where to run when fear came. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your soul. As Psalm 121:7 says, those words do not mean you will never walk through difficult days, but they do mean that difficult days do not have the authority to snatch you out of my hands. Let me guard the things you cannot guard. Let me protect your mind from the visions anxiety tries to weave before your eyes. Let me teach you the difference between responsibility and burdens that were never yours to carry. There are things I have entrusted you to do, but there are also things I ask you to lay down. Because if you continue trying to carry my portion as well, you will grow weary without changing anything at all. So step into tomorrow with a softer heart, not with the tension of someone trying to save themselves. Be present with others sincerely, but do not forget to return to me, so you may be filled again. Comfort others, but do not turn yourself into the source of salvation. Listen to people, but do not allow their pain to consume the peace I have given you. Share your story when I prompt you not to display your wounds, but to point toward the one who healed them. Then you will see that your presence, though quiet, can still become a shelter for the weary, a cup of water, for the thirsty, a lamp for those searching for the way. I am with you in the small house, in the noisy street, in the silent night, in every place where you call upon my name. And when I am with you, you no longer need to guard your life through fear. You are free to live, to love, to listen, and to continue walking in the peace of one who knows that their true fortress is me. My beloved child, there will come a day when your heart becomes quiet enough to realize that I was never absent from the things you once considered small. I do not always arrive through thunder, parted seas, shaking mountains, or signs that astonish the eyes. Many times I come through a very ordinary morning, when light gently touches the doorway and your heart is suddenly reminded that you still have another day to live, to love, and to begin again. Many times I come through an unexpected sentence that touches the exact place where your soul is weary, through a silence that causes your mind to stop racing, through a soft breeze reminding you that this world is still gentler than fear once convinced you it was. Your ears shall hear a voice behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it." As Isaiah 30:21 says, that voice is not always loud, but it is clear enough for a soul willing to listen. When you stop allowing the noise of comparison, striving, and proving yourself to stretch your heart thin, you will begin to recognize that my presence had always been very near in the places you passed by without noticing. I know there were times when you believed your life was pieced together only by random events, a meeting that came at the right moment, a word that caused you to change direction, a closed door that brought disappointment, a delay you could not understand, a quiet stirring within telling you to stop or take another path. But my child, what you call coincidence is often my mercy dressed in silence. You do not see the disasters I prevented before they ever reached you. You do not know all the roads from which I quietly turned your feet away. You do not immediately understand why certain people left, why certain plans failed, or why a place you longed to enter closed its doors before you. Yet all things work together for good to those who love God. As Romans 8:28 says, does not mean that everything will feel pleasant. It means that in my hands, even the things that disappointed you can be woven into a greater redemptive order than your eyes are able to perceive. Remember Ruth, the Moabitite woman who followed Naomi through poverty, loss, and uncertainty. She held no map for the future, did not know how tomorrow's needs would be met, and could not yet see that her quiet faithfulness was fully visible before me. When she went out to gather leftover grain, Scripture says she happened to come into the field of Boaz in Ruth 2:3. But do you see what people read? As coincidence was resting inside my providence, that field was not merely a place where Ruth gathered enough grain to survive another day. It became the doorway into provision, protection, restored dignity, and a lineage through which the Redeemer himself would one day come. I can hide a great promise inside something very small. I can place a new chapter inside an ordinary morning. I can use one humble step of obedience to lead you into the place where grace has already been waiting for you. So do not rush to draw conclusions about everything happening around you. Some doors close, not to leave you lacking, but to protect your soul from what would slowly wear it down. Some people do not continue the journey with you, not because you are unworthy of love, but because their path no longer belongs to the season I am leading you into. Some delays come, not because I have forgotten my promise, but because I am allowing danger to pass before permitting you to move forward. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. As Psalm 37:23 says, "You may not understand every step while you are walking it, but I never lead you carelessly or without purpose. What you see is only the short stretch beneath your feet." I see the entire valley, the winding turns the river ahead, and even the shore your heart cannot yet imagine. But in order to recognize my hand in small things, you need a heart that is less hurried and a soul willing to pause. If you keep running after the need to prove yourself, you will hear the crowd very clearly, while missing my voice in the secret place. If you continue measuring yourself by the achievements of others, today's grace will always seem too small, even though it is enough to carry you through the next step. Let silence become a well within your soul, not the empty silence of loneliness, but the silence where I am present, where you can breathe out the tensions you have carried for too long. And hear again the truth that you do not need to compete for a place in order to be seen by me. You know when I sit down, and when I rise up, you perceive my thoughts from afar. As Psalm 139:2 says, "Even when no one notices your weariness, I understand every hidden movement within your heart. I am in the ordinary mornings, but I am also in the nights when you don't understand why your heart feels heavy. I am in the timely word of comfort, but I am also in the silence that teaches you to search for a deeper source. I am in the door that opens, but also in the door that closes to keep you from stepping into a place where life no longer remains. I am in the encounter that lifts you up, but also in the separation that teaches you to release what no longer belongs to peace. Do not seek me only in things so dramatic they cannot be denied. Learn to recognize me in the small fragments of grace given each day. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. As Lamentations 3:22-23 says, every new morning is a reminder that I am still providing, still preserving, still continuing to write your story with faithfulness. My beloved child, perhaps today, you still cannot fully understand the meaning of all that has happened. There may still be losses you cannot yet call grace, answers you do not yet have the strength to understand, crossroads that still leave questions in your mind. I do not force you to pretend that you understand everything. I simply invite you to trust that I do. I know what must be healed, what must be closed, what needs more waiting, and what is being prepared in silence. When you cannot explain everything, anchor your heart in this truth. I have never left my place as your shepherd. I go before you to make a way behind you, to protect you, beside you, to uphold you, and within you, to whisper peace when the world tries to shake your soul. So slow your steps a little. My beloved child, look at today, not merely as a list of tasks to complete, but as holy ground where I may meet you. Pay attention to the small mercies, a lighter breath, a thought suddenly illuminated, a person arriving at the right moment, a delay that later proves to be protection, a verse of scripture suddenly shining within your heart. Do not let ordinary things pass by as though they carry none of my fingerprints. Little by little, you will begin to see that your life is not a collection of meaningless scattered pieces, but a tapestry I am weaving together with countless threads of grace. Some threads are bright, some are dark. Some sections you still do not understand why they belong there. But in my hands, all of them are being joined together into a pathway of life. Be at peace. I am still leading you, still holding you, still nearer to you than you can feel. And when you learn to see through the eyes of faith, you will realize that even in the smallest things, my love has quietly been calling your name. My beloved child, There are things I am doing within you so quietly that if you look only with hurried eyes, you will think nothing is changing at all. But I want you to understand that the deepest forms of care are often the least noisy. Roots do not grow beneath applause. Underground streams do not display themselves upon the surface. And my grace often works within the hidden layers of your soul. You may see only an ordinary day passing by. A pale morning, a heavy breath, repetitive work, or a silence no one notices. Yet I am still there, like a patient gardener, bending down to tend the roots before allowing flowers to bloom upon the branches. He who watches over you will neither slumber nor sleep. As Psalm 121:3 says, those words are not meant only for moments of obvious danger, but also for the days when you think you have been forgotten in the middle of ordinary life. I know you often recognize me more easily in great miracles, yet overlook me in the small mercies. You wait for a dramatic door to open while failing to notice that I have already sent a timely word to keep your heart from collapsing. You long for a dazzling sign, yet do not see that I am placing peace within you through a quiet sky, through the song of birds in the morning, through a smile that gently warms your soul after many cold days. I am not only the God of mountains and seas, I am also the Father of the smallest moments, where you suddenly realize you are breathing more lightly after a season of weariness, when my word says in him, we live and move and have our being. As Acts 17:28 declares, understand that my presence is not merely something you visit during sacred hours, but the very atmosphere sustaining every rhythm of your life. Even when you do not yet recognize it, there are times when you believe you are walking alone because no one fully understands what is happening inside your heart. You smile, yet I know how many unspoken things stand behind that smile. You remain silent, yet I hear even the cries that never become words. You continue moving forward, yet I know how weary the feet of your soul have become. O Lord, you have searched me and known me, as Psalm 139:1 says that knowledge is not the cold gaze of a distant judge, but the gentle understanding of a father who sees every wound within you and still calls you beloved. You do not need to make your pain larger in order to gain my attention. You do not need to hide your weakness in order to be accepted by me. I see you completely, and within that gaze, there is no contempt, only mercy longing to heal you. Remember Jacob on the night he left home, carrying uncertainty, loneliness, and a future he could not yet understand. He took a stone for his pillow and lay down in the wilderness. Perhaps with a heart full of questions no one could answer. Yet in the very place he believed contained only darkness and solitude. I opened his eyes to a ladder reaching heaven with angels ascending and descending upon it. And I spoke my promises over his life. When Jacob awoke, he said, "Surely the Lord is in this place," and I did not know it. As Genesis 28:16 says, "Do you see some places you call lonely? I call places of encounter. Some nights you believe are only temporary resting places along a weary journey. I transform into altars, some hard stones, upon which you once laid your head in tears. I can use as memorials to remind you that heaven is still open over your life. So do not rush to conclude that slow seasons are meaningless seasons. I am not only preparing fruit. I am preparing a trunk strong enough not to break when the fruit finally comes. There are things you have prayed for that I have not yet given, not because I have not heard you, but because I am deepening your roots in trust. A tree planted near streams of water does not panic when drought lingers, because its source of life does not depend upon the surface. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. He is like a tree planted by the waters, sending out its roots by the stream. As Jeremiah 17:7-8 says, in the same way, when your roots grow deep into me, you will no longer be easily shaken by criticism, praise changing people, or sudden winds of circumstance. I do not merely want you to have one flourishing season. I want you to become a steadfast soul. Perhaps today you still do not see flowers blooming, but I see roots going deeper. Perhaps you do not yet see results, but I see your heart learning softness again after years of self-pity protection. Perhaps others look only at the outside and think you are standing still, but I see you winning silent battles. You did not give up. You did not allow bitterness to consume your heart. And you returned to prayer, even if sometimes all you could offer was a sigh. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. As Philippians 1:6 says, I did not begin my work within you, only to abandon it halfway. I am more patient than your urgency, deeper than human judgment, and more faithful than all the things you once leaned upon and later found disappointing. And little by little, as your heart stops chasing the noise outside, you will begin to recognize my fingerprints in things that once seemed ordinary. I am in the unexpected peace that comes after a short prayer. I am in the quiet strength that helps you rise in the morning, even after a night when you believed you could not continue. I am in the friend who arrives at the right moment, in the scripture verse that suddenly shines with new meaning, in the closed door that protects you from a road where life no longer remains. I will never leave you nor forsake you. As Hebrews 13:5 says, those words are not true only inside churches. During worship services or within obvious spiritual moments, they are true in your small room upon an empty road, in the middle of noisy crowds, and even on the days when you feel nothing remarkable at all. My beloved child, let this truth become a resting place for your soul. Not one day of your life has ever existed outside my sight. Even through the roads you could not understand, I have still been weaving scattered threads into a tapestry of grace. Even in seasons when you believed you were buried, I was strengthening your roots. Even when only a small flicker of light remained within your heart, I was guarding that flame from going out. Keep walking, not with the tension of someone trying to prove themselves, but with the peace of one who knows they are being shepherded. I go before you to open the way behind you, to protect you, beside you, to uphold you, and within you, like a quiet river that never runs dry. One day when you look back, you will not only see what you survived, you will see that I was there in every step, every tear, every silence, every ordinary morning. And you will know that my love was always finding a way to lead you home. My beloved child, let today become a gentle threshold where you no longer walk under the weight of fear about things that have not yet happened, but instead, walk in trust toward the one who has carried you through so many things you once thought you could never survive. The future may still seem covered in mist before your eyes, but it is never unclear before mine. You can see only the small stretch of road beneath your feet, while I see the entire valley, the mountain peaks, the streams waiting beyond the desert, and the dawn hidden behind long nights. When your heart trembles because you do not know what is coming, remember that you are not held together by your ability to predict the future, but by my faithful hands. I will never leave you nor forsake you. As Hebrews 13:5 says, those words are not ancient sounds resting quietly upon a page, but the warmth I place around your soul in every uncertain day. You do not need to understand everything in order to have peace. You only need to know that I understand and that I never lead you through forgetfulness. There are seasons when I lead you into stillness, not to slow you down in failure, but to rescue you from the noise that is draining your soul. The world often celebrates speed, noisy visibility, and progress that can be measured by human eyes. But in my kingdom, not everything precious grows beneath applause. A seed buried beneath the earth is unseen, unnamed, and unpraised. Yet inside that dark soil, life is already breaking open. Roots are searching for depth, and a green future is quietly being prepared. So it is with you. There are silent places that are not abandonment, but spaces where I heal the distorted voices within you. The voice of fear, the voice of comparison, the voice of impatience, the voice of self-condemnation, the voices of those who once made you doubt yourself. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. As Isaiah 30:15 says that strength is not loud, but it endures far longer than passing excitement. I know there are times when waiting feels difficult to you because part of your heart longs for everything to become clear immediately. You want to know which doors will open, who will stay, how the things you pray for will unfold, and how much longer it will take before the new season arrives. But my beloved child, if I gave you every answer before your heart had grown deep enough to carry them, the very things you long for could become burdens that shake you. I am not only preparing what is meant for you, I am preparing you for what is meant for you. A vessel that is to hold new wine must first be strengthened from within. A tree that is to survive storms must send its roots deep before its branches spread wide. Therefore, these quiet days are not meaningless. I am restoring the rhythm of your soul, teaching you to distinguish between my voice and the pressure of human expectations, teaching your faith not to depend merely upon emotions, but to cling to the unchanging faithfulness of the Father. Remember Elijah when he fled in exhaustion and despair. He had seen fire fall from heaven and had stood in the midst of events that astonished many people. Yet there came a moment when he grew so weary that he wanted only to lie down beneath the broom tree and stop. I did not come to him with harsh rebuke. I allowed him to sleep. I fed him. I led him to the holy mountain. And when the wind, the earthquake, and the fire passed by, I did not reveal myself through those violent displays, but through the still, small voice. As 1 Kings 19:12 says, "Do you see, there are times when you keep searching for me, and shaking things, dramatic signs, loud confirmations, while I am already speaking to you through a very gentle whisper deep within. If your heart is restless, you may miss that voice. But when you remain still long enough within my presence, you will realize that I don't need to shout in order to guide a soul that has learned how to listen. So do not treat seasons of silence as enemies of the promise. Perhaps I am using them to strip away your dependence on outward things. When there is no longer so much noise surrounding you, you will begin to hear more clearly what is truly happening within your own heart. You will recognize which fears are only old shadows, which desires are born from the pressure to prove yourself, and which things are truly my invitation calling you forward. Let us examine our ways. As Lamentation 40 says, reminds you that stopping can also be a holy act, not so that you may drown in self-condemnation, but so that I may illuminate you, reorder you, and heal you again. I do not want you rushing forward with a heart still full of confusion. I want you to continue walking with clarity, with peace, with a trust, no longer pulled in every direction by the voices around you. When the storm has not yet passed, you may think I am silent, but my silence is not my absence. Remember the disciples in the boat upon the raging sea. Waves crashed over the boat. The winds fought against them, Their hearts were filled with panic. While I slept at the stern, they mistook my stillness for indifference. Yet the moment I rose and spoke to the wind and sea, everything became calm. Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith? As Mark 4:40 says, those words were not spoken to shame them, but to open their eyes to the truth that my presence in the boat mattered more than the violence of the storm around the boat. The same is true for you. Perhaps your circumstances have not changed immediately, but if I am with you, you have not been abandoned to the waves. Let that truth become the anchor of your soul. I did not merely rescue you from darkness, only to leave you weak at the edge of the light. I use every part of the journey you have walked through to make the light within you deeper, truer, and more enduring. The turns you once did not understand will not remain meaningless fragments forever. In my hands, they can become threads woven into a tapestry of grace. The seasons when you believed you were moving slowly will teach you perseverance. The days when no one noticed you will teach you faithfulness. The silences that once confused you will become the places where I purify your motives, soften your heart, and restore your ability to hear my voice. To everything there is a season. As Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, there is a time to move quickly, and a time to stand still, a time to speak, and a time to remain silent, a time to sow in tears, and a time to reap with songs of joy. So today rest in me not as someone who has given up, but as someone who trusts that their Father is still working even when their eyes cannot yet see it. Do the part entrusted to you in peace. Pray sincerely. Guard your heart from bitterness. Do the good that lies before you. Listen for my voice within the living word, and place tomorrow into my hands. Do not carry the weight of the entire future upon the shoulders of a single day. The grace given for today is enough for today. When you cannot see the way, I am still the way. When you do not yet have answers, I am still wisdom. When you do not know what doors will open, I am still the one who holds the keys. And one day, you will look back upon the silences that once confused you and realize that there in those hidden places I was healing storms no one else could see, deepening your roots and teaching you not to live by fear, but by faithfulness. My beloved child, as you have received these words of comfort and truth, I invite you to respond from the depths of your heart. If something I have spoken has stirred your spirit or brought light into a dark place within you, write it in the comments below, so that others may be encouraged by your testimony of my faithfulness. Your words of gratitude, or the burdens you are choosing to lay at my feet, can become a source of hope for someone else who is walking a similar valley. If this message has ministered to you, show your agreement by liking this video, for in doing so, you help my love reach farther than you can see. And share it freely with those you hold dear, knowing that every act of sharing is an extension of my hands, reaching out to the weary and broken. I see every comment, every like, and every share as an offering of love that I can multiply for my glory and for the blessing of many. Keep walking in the peace I have given you, and remember that you are never alone in this journey. My beloved child, be at peace, and let my love flow through you to touch the world around you. Amen.